Hello friends, AmyR here with Prairie Paper and Ink, breaking in between all my rainbow theme cards with these cards that are just beautiful as well. They're just not in rainbow colors. They're using the Honeybee Lovely Layers Peony wafer die set, which I've already done a couple videos on, and I'm obsessed. I love it. I love it. Anyway, okay. First, I die cut all the pieces from Ranger's watercolor cardstock. You could just do all the spraying and everything that I'm going to do onto pieces of cardstock and then die cut. That works totally fine. I just, a lot of times, like having all the pieces already cut out so I can see, you know, where everything is. I know I've got enough, you know what I mean? Whereas, like, if I sprayed the cardstock and then I didn't have enough die cuts, again, whatever floats your boat, each way works just fine. My way is a little more involved, I guess. Like, yeah. So I die cut the pieces, and then I just used Simon's Dot Runner, which is not a temporary adhesive, but that's what I use it as, and it works. So whatever. I just use little bits of it to tape these to just scrap pieces of paper so that they're a little more contained, because I've got a lot. I've shown in other videos where I'll use, you know, like painter's tape, sticky side up to hold down pieces. But as you can see here, like I got a lot because I was going to make a couple cards. I have all these pieces, etc. So I taped them to the copy paper to keep everything, you know, together and contained and make it easier. And this would also be easier if you had like a larger box. I didn't when I made these, so I just made my splat box work. But having something bigger would help contain it all, because like I made a hot mess, but it was fun. So I'm using sprays, specifically Distress spray stains. For this first, like for the blooms themselves, I used a combo of saltwater taffy, picked raspberry, and festive berries. And then I pulled out, I have a bunch of these Ranger Dylusions shimmer sprays. I ordered these forever ago, and I've been meaning to show them in videos. If y'all remember last year when Tim Holtz released his amazing mica sprays that I lost my mind over. You know, I was promoting them in videos, but they were limited edition. You cannot get them anymore. They're beautiful, and I have backups of them. But I ordered all these Dylusions ones because I was like, oh, are these an option? FYI, they are. You can't get, obviously, the exact same colors as the ones that Tim did. But if you want gorgeous, pigmented, insanely shimmery sprays, hello Ranger's Dylusions shimmer sprays. I will link to the specific ones I used. With these blooms, I used Peony blush, which was just meant to be. And it's and of course I'll show at the end too. Like, they're gorgeous. I had a lot of fun with these, and like I said, I ordered a ton of them. I have an entire container sitting here with them. I'm gonna use them more. So I did all the blooms first. The greenery was done with my standby, like, Twisted Citron and Rustic Wilderness sprays. I don't know what it is. I just love that combo of like bright lime green and then that intense deep green of the Rustic Wilderness. The combo is amazing. And then add to it, this is Island Parrot shimmer spray. Oh, chef's kiss. It is gorgeous. It's like this lemony, greeny, just gorgeous. It is a gorgeous, gorgeous shimmer spray. Made me happy. So I let all these pieces sit. They're mostly dry at this point. The scrap paper is destroyed, obviously. I just peeled them off of that scrap paper to let them like fully dry. And like I got a ton of pieces. So I did all of that. I've got these pieces. You could always end here, but I will explain my thought process here. You could always end here and just like start adhering them, because like there is like texture and shimmer and color, you know, they're fabulous. They just do their thing. But when I was making these cards, I was in a very much like go big or go home and let's just experiment and see what happens. So I pulled out Vintage Photo Distress ink. I had also pulled out, I forget what the other one it was, but I don't end up using it, so it's irrelevant. And I put it in my little mini ink stand just to hold it. And I'm just using my Ranger mini round ink blending tool here. This adds just more definition, but also kind of a little, you know, nod to the shabby chic, which is not usually something I do. But it does do something. Like a lot of the, you know, you think of like Tim Holtz grunge sort of a look, you know, adding the browns and all that. And people that really do that sort of mixed media and the grunge look, you use a lot of brown, you know, and I love it. I love seeing it. I never really think to do it. But this time I was like, I wonder if I edged all these, if it would give it that. And it does. But the biggest thing is it gives it definition. So if you didn't want to go with brown, you know, if that's just not your thing, I would say use like the like Festive Berries Distress Ink or Aged Mahogany, like one of the deeper, you know, red tones. That would work as well. The brown just gives it a little extra something. So after I just lightly blended that on just the edges of the pieces, I adhered them together. Super, super easy. Just like pretty much all of the lovely layers, you go largest to smallest. It comes together, no problem. You do it once, and you never have to think about it again. It's that easy. So I put them all together. And then once it was put together, I will stack another one that I haven't done any of the blending on, just to show you guys the method behind the madness, or the reasoning behind the madness. So you can just see that definition and like the little bit of difference you get by adding that bit of ink blending to this. So the one on the right has been blended with the vintage photo ink, and then the other one on the left hasn't been blended at all. You know, so they're still fabulous, but it does give it that extra something. So I went along and did that with all the pieces. With the little leaves, I just did it over like some scrap paper and just kind of rubbed the vintage photo ink just sort of on the edges, and it was good to go. And that was actually kind of one of the nice things about having the little bits of the dot runner on the back of these pieces. It helped kind of hold things in place because, you know, that adhesive is still there. So it actually comes in handy, at least for me anyway. So I did all of that ink blending and assembled the peonies and the buds and whatnot. And then another experiment I wanted to do was I took some Desert Storm cardstock, another fave, and this plaid A7 cover plate. This is the top wafer die. There's actually like two you can get to layer, but I just wanted the wafer die. I spritzed the cardstock with water, and then I put the die face up in my Platinum 6 die cut machine and the embossing mat that comes with the machine, and then the embossing plate, and ran that through. So instead of cutting the cardstock, this plaid cover plate just embosses into the cardstock. So the water sprayed on it was just to prevent the cardstock from cracking, because running it through this way and with specifically the Spellbinders machine, it really will emboss it quite heavily, which is fabulous. Like the texture. Oh, so I did that with both pieces. So I've got this texture going. It's fabulous. And then I was like, what if I add some sprays to this too? So that's what I did. Put it in my splat box, and I used vintage photo, a little bit of water, and then more shimmer sprays. So I used I just gotta like scroll down because I have it all listed here. I used vanilla custard, which is like gold. This one might be a fun one for splatter. It's beautiful. So that was the more gold one, and then the other one was desert sand, and just kind of played with them. The vanilla custard, like the more gold one, I did more of a splatter with, and then the desert sand one I just kind of sprayed, you know, just to get that shimmer. And then I used my heat tool to dry them. Not necessary, you could just let them air dry, but I was just impatient to see how these would turn out, because you can see like it's a vast difference between how they are wet and then how everything looks dry. So I had a good old inky time messing around with sprays, and just the shimmer, it's beautiful. Yeah, these Dylusions shimmer sprays are fabulous, and if I missed any colors with the ones I ordered, I'm gonna get the rest of them. So after they were fully dry, I trimmed these down to slightly smaller than a 5x7 card. I think these ended up being like 4.5 by 6.5, something like that. And then I use that same vintage photo distress ink to ink blend all around the edges, because again, it gives that definition and depth. And with everything, once I start doing something on a card, I just kind of keep repeating it. So I had done that on the die cuts with the ink blending, and I was like, I'm just going to keep going. So I blended that onto both of these panels, and then I pulled out my Misty, a scrap of that Desert Storm cardstock, and the Honeybee U Buzzword stamp set. And I'm just stamping a couple of the little companion sentiments from that set. And I'm going to stamp those onto the Desert Storm cardstock with VersaFine Claire Pine Cone ink. So there's a nice dark brown ink. And then I end up having enough space on this piece. I'm going to stamp a couple little companion sentiments. These are from the Squeeze the Day stamp set. So those I'm going to stamp as well with that same pine cone ink. And then I'm going to die cut those two sentiments with the coordinating wafer dies. The other two that I stamped first, those I just ended up trimming off camera with my paper trimmer. So I'm going to tape down the coordinating wafer dies to these with my Spellbinders tape, and then I will die cut them. So once I have those die cut off camera, I die cut all the layers using the Honeybee U Buzzword die set. So I die cut the under layers with the Desert Storm cardstock, and I'm going to stack those together with craft tacky glue. And then the top layer I die cut from some gold glitter cardstock. Like I said, with these cards, I was like, go big or go home. They're just like shimmery and glittery and just fun. So stacked the layers together with the craft tacky glue, and then I added the top layer, which was the gold glitter cardstock, and then the first outline I die cut with the Neenah Desert Storm cardstock. There's two outlines, just like all the other Buzzword sets that Honeybee has done. There's the word, an outline, and then a second outline that's got like the piercing detail. I didn't use that for these ones. I just used the first outline. So stacked all those together, and then my card bases are also Desert Storm cardstock. So these were cut to 10 inches by 7 inches, and then I'm scoring them at 5 inches. So these will be side folding 5 by 7 cards. So use my Teflon bone folder and my little score buddy to put the score lines in here, and then fold them over, and then reinforce the spine of the card with just the side of my bone folder, so that everything just opens and closes nicely, lays flat, etc. So after I had that, I was going to just adhere those embossed panels to the card base with craft tacky glue. But I started applying the glue, and I'm like, wait, these are really textured pieces. And honestly, the best way to adhere stuff like this is to use foam tape. And since I was just like, yeah, people asking about like the dimension, especially with like the lovely layers, die sets and that, like the layers of cardstock, I personally don't mind the dimension. Like, yes, I do try to keep a lot of my cards a little bit flatter, but sometimes the dimension is more than worth it. You know, it's like, well, I'm already going to be paying extra to mail a card like this. Might as well go big or go home. You know, let's add the foam tape and all the other stuff. So I adhered those panels with foam tape. And then I did my little like sort of arrangement of the leaves. Once I was happy with where those were placed, I just used that washi tape again to adhere them. I will squeeze a little bit of glue here and there into the leaves in a minute, just to make sure they stay adhered. So I start with the leaves, and then I add the little buds, and I put a decent amount of glue on these just to like hold everything down. So once I've got those adhered, I can then adhere the big floral. And yeah, I squeeze a little bit of glue under some of the leaves just to make sure things, you know, stay adhered. They don't just get caught on anything. So get those adhered. Then I'll adhere the large peony bloom. And then I just put acrylic blocks on top of everything just to hold it down. Let the glue set. They'll be good to go. I'm going to repeat the process on the second card. And then for this big die cut sentiment, I just used some little foam strips under parts of it, because some of it, a little bit of the sentiment is going to go over the peony bloom, which is already popped up with dimension. So I use the foam tape just to kind of even everything out, and then just a little bit of the craft tacky glue to adhere that down. And then the little like rest of the sentiment that I'm also going to adhere with just a little foam strip. And then again, repeat the process with the second card. And then on the inside of both of these cards, I'm going to adhere those sentiments that I had stamped and die cut. And I just use my little Simon T-square ruler to make sure I get these straight, because yeah, we need all the help we can get, man. So anyway, got those adhered. And then my last little addition of bling, because, you know, shimmer, sparkle, why not add more bling? I'm using these fabulous just gold confetti and heavily sprinkle those throughout both these cards. I'll adhere them into place with the dabs of craft tacky glue. And then once these are adhered, these cards are complete. They were super fun. And the shimmer spray, I wish I could have captured it better on video. I really had a hard time like just showing it. Like you can kind of see the shimmer, but there's just this beautiful sparkle. You also get the texture from the Ranger watercolor paper as well. So yeah, like the florals are shimmery, the greenery is shimmery, the background is shimmery, the sentiment is literally glittery. These were fun. These were a lot of fun. And those Dylusions shimmer mists are legit. Highly recommend. I have no, like, they're pigmented and they are shimmer. So really fun. I will have links, like always, to the ones I used. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And as always, I will have a link below the video to my blog post. In my blog post, I post the photos, and then I also have picture links to all the supplies I used, which makes things a little easier to navigate. There is also a supply list directly below the video with links to everything I used, so you can check that out below if you are interested. And then at the end of this video, I'll link to the other ones I did using this lovely Layers Peony wafer die set. So you can check those out too if you missed them. And thank you all so much for watching, for subscribing, for thumbs upping, commenting, all of it. I very much appreciate it. And I will see you all very soon in the next video. Bye.